EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Martich here with your outlook for November 16th, 2018. Boy, what a storm did we have yesterday. That was a little bit unexpected on the snowfall totals. We expected some lower amounts than we had certainly yesterday, but we had some intense, very intense mesoscale banding that took place right along the thermal gradient yesterday and made these totals go way, way higher than they were expected to be. So, with that said, this is now going to be the rearview mirror, but we have a parting shot coming through very early this morning. This is the cold conveyor belt around this area of low pressure. So think of this as like a big comma head. You got a big comma head right here. So the cold conveyor belt is over here on this side, on the back side, and that is going to swing through this morning from west to east, almost west-southwest to east-northeast, actually. And that's going to bring a parting shot of snow. If you're going to start off work very early, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're probably still spotty drizzle, sleet out central PA. You are already snow from that cold conveyor belt making an influence, and as that moves eastward, everything changes over to a burst of snow that could last about an hour or so, give you a fresh coating to an inch, and then it departs. Let's look at that on the NAM high-res future simulated radar. And I'm going to start this off at 5 a.m. You can see this is all snow here in the blue. Out ahead of it, we have sleet, freezing rain, mostly freezing rain, and then you get this this pinkish color here that is sleet, and that's that transition from sleet to snow as this band moves eastward. So that's going to move through very quickly. Here is 6 o'clock in the morning. Gets over the far eastern parts of the state of Pennsylvania, so from the south of the Lehigh Valley through the Lehigh Valley and up into northeast PA. It is snowing at 6 a.m. and then here is 7. Starts moving to New Jersey. You can see these darker returns here, so it's going to come down at a pretty good clip, and you get some heavy burst mixed in with that, but it's only going to last about an hour or so until it's quick in and out of here. After that point, this is going to exit the coast. Here is 8 a.m., here is 9, it's out of here, and clouds give way to sun. Clouds will give way to sun today, and temperatures will be back into the 40s in many locations, maybe stay stuck in the upper 30s further north, especially in areas that had that tremendous snowfall. Now, this snow event here in some locations, I'm going to pick on Allentown here because I'm closest to that. I'm actually north of Allentown just a little bit. Allentown Airport here reported 7.2 inches of snow on Thursday. That is the single-day record for any day in November ever. 7.2 inches. Now, we had some other reports that were certainly higher than that. We had over a foot of snow in some places up here in the far northern areas, or awfully close to it. 10, 12-inch reports up in here in northeast PA. We had some high amounts in the lower Susquehanna Valley also. They were in that 6 to 10-inch range. Man, it was really, really coming down. And basically what happens, if I back this up a little bit, just to give you a recap, because the rest of the week's kind of boring here. So we'll give you a recap, go back in time, and solve this setup here. Let me get to the right image. Before we started this whole event, we had a very strong high pressure. We already knew this was going to be here. So this was sitting right here, funneling in the cold air to this system. So that kept the surface temperatures cold. That wasn't the issue. The issue is when this area low pressure came up the coast like this, we were expecting to get to a point right where the tip of the arrow is right here and start bringing this warm fetch off the Atlantic Ocean, because these water temperatures out here are very warm. They're still in the 50s. Well, it took its good old time doing that, and instead you had some very intense forcing going on near the D.C. area in the morning, and that gave us a little bit of a clue that, hey, maybe our final call map would have to be adjusted a little bit, because it's going to go, it looks like it's going to snow, and it's going to snow hard, and it doesn't have to snow hard for very long. If you remember, it only really started snowing very hard for maybe a 3 or 4 hour period. I mean, there was light snow before that and after that, and then it went over to sleet, freezing rain, of course. But during that period, we were getting 2-inch per hour rates, and that's because we had that very strong forcing that was taking place, and that thermal gradient where it's set up, instead of going over to sleet like it was expected to do, or we expected it to do, and many others expected it to do, it did not remain snow. So if you're coming down with those kind of rates, and it's not sleet, and it's snow, it's going to pile up quickly, and that's exactly what happened. So we had these totals go way over those projections. That warm air didn't get in here fast enough. Of course, eventually did, and at the same time, we had a dry slot come in last night that kind of took it down to a light drizzle or freezing drizzle or overnight. So it wasn't a real big deal once we got past the evening hours. but just some light icing that continued across northeast PA, especially north central Pennsylvania, and then now we're dealing with this cold conveyor belt as it moves away. So as far as adjusting the final call map, I don't think we're going to call it first call, final call anymore. We're just going to say, here is our call, and for continuous updates on the system as it approaches, we're going to be constantly updating this. And if we need to adjust on game day, I don't understand the public's perception that when you have a final call out, I understand the word final. Maybe we won't use that anymore. But if we're seeing an area that we forecast 1 to 2 inches and it's going to go way over, what is the sense? What sense does it make to keep that on the weather alerts page that people are not accessing? Because maybe they're at work, they're not on social media to see any kind of updates or posts that we make. They're just going right to the website, to that link, and checking out if there's any updates. Why would we keep that information on there if it's going to be wrong? That does a disservice to everyone if we keep those totals where they are. So we had to adjust on the fly, just like the National Weather Service did, just like many other outlets did. It's what we do. And maybe that's not your style of forecasting. Maybe you think we should just put a final call product out there and say, this is it. If it busts, it busts. Okay? Well, if you're going to do that and you expect us to do that, that's not how we're going to operate. And we're not going to change anything to that in the future. We're going to keep it the same way. If we have to adjust, we're going to adjust things. If you don't like that, maybe you should follow somebody else. Okay? I don't mean to be blunt like that, but it's really getting to the point now. It's getting very irritating to see people complaining about how we're changing the maps after the fact. We're adjusting to current conditions, and that's what we have to do. It's doing a public disservice not to change it. So I just want to make that clear before I went forward here. So that storm's out of here. We're going to put that to rest and let go of that. All right, so here is plenty of other opportunities for snow this season, folks, and we'll have plenty of time, plenty of other headaches to deal with, and I'm sure this won't be the last incorrect call for every single location. Some of the locations we nailed with the final call, some we didn't. It's the nature of the business. It's what happens. Mother Nature does what she wants. So here is Saturday. We are partly to mostly sunny on Saturday. Partly cloudy here on Sunday. We have a little system disturbance for the west. There's actually a front that's going to come through overnight. Could be a rain or snow shower with this later at night, but I don't think this is a big deal. More isolated, and it'll be later on Sunday night. Otherwise, on Monday, we're looking at clouds giving way to sun, and then we're going to remain that way the rest of the week. It's going to be cold this entire week. Temperature's going to be below average the entire week, the entire 7-day period. But the only caveat to that is we are going to be partly to mostly sunny just about every single day through the 7-day forecast period, which ends on Thursday. And even taking it beyond that, looks like we're dry here to the end of the week on Friday. Might be some disturbances coming in for the following weekend. We will cross that bridge when we get there. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchus. That is your outlook for November 16th, 2018. Have a great Friday.